What's going on, party people? You picked an amazing day to be here because it just so happens we're starting a brand new virtue. Plus, it's a brand new month, September. Welcome to Mission Kids. Have you ever had or went to a neighborhood block party where there was a lot of people and you saw a lot of your neighbors and you got to hang out with them, you played some games? That's just not a bad way to show friendship, and that's actually the virtue we are going to talk about all month long, friendship. Now, to help us figure out what our virtue is this month, I would like to introduce you to a guy by the name of Sir Knows a Lot. Oh, well, hello, friends. My name, as you already heard, is Sir Knows a Lot because I know a lot. And I know a lot about this month's virtue, friendship, I believe it is. Are you ready to have your minds blown with friendship? Well, friendship is using your words and your actions to show others you care. Boom, mind blown with friendship. Is your mind blown today? I am Sir Knows a Lot, and I know a lot. Oh, mind blown. Stay tuned next time for Sir Knows a Lot, and we will have your minds blown. Raise your hand if you think friendship is important. Well, God certainly thinks friendship is important. Everyone wants to be a good friend, but sometimes we might not be the best at showing it. Sometimes we might have to stop and think about putting others before ourselves. God can help us choose to be good friends to others, and He can help us choose to surround ourselves with friends who will help us grow closer to Him.
Sometimes it's hard to know what the day is gonna bring. Some days you feel like you can fly. Some days we have broken wings. But with you by my side, I'll always be okay. You always shine color, even on a cloudy day. Sometimes we face trouble, we're scared and insecure. But with a friend like you, I'm always reassured that if I fall down, it's you that'll help me up.
In God's big story, which we call the Bible, God talks about friendship. He made us to have good relationships with each other. It's really important for us to learn how to be a good friend and for us to have friends around us who encourage us and point us in the right direction. Now, there are some verses in the Bible that show us how important friendship is, and we can find them in the book of Ecclesiastes. Our bottom line for today goes like this: choose your friends carefully.
The Bible. It's 66 books of history, stories, letters, and poetry that fit together to form God's one big story. The epic adventure of how He created us and loves us so much that He made a way to rescue us. As we travel through the Bible, from Genesis to Revelation, we discover people who met God and found their lives changed forever. Now, for an amazing story, inspired by the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 4, verses 9 through 12.
The writer of Ecclesiastes tells us 2 people are better than 1. They can help each other in everything they do. Suppose either of them falls down, then the one can help the other one up. But suppose a person falls down and doesn't have anyone to help them up. Then feel sorry for that person. One person could be overpowered, but 2 people can stand up for themselves. And a rope made with 3 cords isn't easily broken. Let's see how this might play out in someone's life today. Jackson slid into the small school theater and took a seat in the back row and waited for Mr. Ray, the music and arts teacher. It looked like there was only one other kid who showed up to build the set for the 5th grade production of Charlotte's Web, Amal from Mrs. Wiseman's class. Hey.
Hi.
The 2 boys sat there in awkward silence until Mr. Ray showed up.
Ah, my set team. Fantastic. You guys know each other?
Kinda.
Different classes.
Well, you're gonna get to spend a lot of time together in the next 2 weeks as we build this set and get it painted. You guys got any experience with power tools?
Jackson could see Amal shift nervously in his seat.
No, I don't want to go on stage. Miss Wiseman said I could do this instead.
Don't worry, I'll teach you what you need to know. How about you, Jackson?
I'm pretty good with a hammer, and I didn't want to wear some silly animal costume.
The 2 boys basically ignored each other as Mr. Ray showed them how to measure each piece of lumber for him to cut, and then he helped them lay out the pieces in a large frame.
Now, this'll be one of the wall flats for the backdrop. We'll paint it as part of the barn. Amal, you want to hammer in these nails?
I guess.
I'll hold it more like this. Don't worry, you'll get it.
I'll do this side.
Jackson nailed together the entire flat while Amal still struggled with one corner.
What a klutz.
But it was a different story the next day when they started to paint.
This flat is part of our barn wall. I want you guys to paint a couple of chickens right there.
Amal grabbed a brush right away.
Oh, do you want them to look like real chickens or like cartoons?
Just give them your own personal spin.
Amal got to work right away, creating an entire palette of colors while Jackson was still trying to figure out which brush to pick.
Now, I've got to run down to the art room. Amal, why don't you show Jackson how to get started?
I don't really...
Mr. Ray smiled at them both.
He needs a hand. I think you guys will make a great team.
Mr. Ray hurried out. Jackson and Amal avoided each other's eyes.
Well, I'll sketch an outline for the chickens.
What do I do?
Just, fill it in.
I'm not really an artist.
Jackson dipped his brush randomly in the blue paint and frowned at Amal's outline.
Just have fun with it.
Jackson swiped the blue brush, outlining a wing.
I've never seen a blue chicken.
Oh.
It's great. It'll stand out.
Oh. Thanks.
By the time Mr. Ray returned, Jackson was surprised to discover that he and Amal had already painted 5 brilliant hued chickens. Mr. Ray grinned.
I've never seen a more flamboyant flock.
Jackson held out his fist to Amal, and Amal, surprised, gave him a fist bump.
Yep, see you boys tomorrow.
The next day, Amal showed up with a bruised finger on his left hand.
I can still paint with my right.
What happened?
Mr. Kunkel keeps putting me in as goalie during PE, and then I mess it up, and everyone on the team gets mad at me.
Do you stay on your toes? Keep your eye on the ball?
No. I just panic when the ball comes at me.
Look, I can show you some tips later in the parking lot, before my mom comes.
Really? That would be great.
And you know, Jackson turned out to be a pretty good teacher because Amal managed to get 2 blocks during PE the next day. And when Jackson showed up to paint sets, stressed out by a math test, Amal grabbed his textbook.
Fractions?
I see all these weird numbers and I freeze up.
You just have to break it down like this.
With Amal's help, Jackson managed to stay calm during his test the next day. And by the middle of the next week, they had completed the entire backdrop for Charlotte's Web.
Well done. I knew you two would make a great team.
Amal's pretty okay.
Jackson's not too terrible.
Look, I know you guys are really different from each other, but it's boring if all your friends are just like you.
Together, they started gathering wood scraps and wiping off brushes.
Seriously, one of the wisest men to ever live pointed this out. Solomon.
Solomon?
Yep. He's this king in the Bible. He was a builder and an artist and super rich too. But for all the things he had, you know what he valued most? Friendship. He says it like this: 2 people are better than 1. They can help each other in everything they do.
On point.
Yeah.
Amal held out his fist, and Jackson tapped it with his own. Maybe Solomon and Mr. Ray were onto something.
It's so important to seek out people who trust God. Your closest friends should help you love God and love others every single day. This month's memory verse comes from Proverbs chapter 17, verse 17, and goes like this. Wrap up today's Bible story, remember, one of the best ways to find a good friend is to be a good friend. A lot of us had to be away from our friends earlier this year because of the coronavirus, and that was really hard, wasn't it? Were you able to find ways to spend time with your friends, like maybe through FaceTime or some video game? That's awesome. And we can help and support each other when times are hard. We can remind each other to keep trusting God, too. It's important to show love to our friends through our words and our actions. And we can be there to help each other when things get tough. In our family talk time, discuss as a family this question: what makes someone a good friend? Think about what Solomon mentioned in today's Bible story. Think about the sorts of characteristics that you look for when you're choosing who you'll call a friend. Go ahead, pause the video, and discuss this question as a family. When you're done, come back and press play. Let's talk to God and ask Him to help us choose our friends carefully. Let's pray. Dear God, thank you for these verses that show us what a good friendship is all about. I pray as we go out this week that we act out the wisdom that you gave Solomon. Please help us to look for people in our lives who love you. We want to have friends around us who will help us trust you. And we want to be that kind of friend for them too. We love you. In Jesus' name, amen. We are going to have a lot of fun talking about this virtue of friendship this month, along with some surprise guests and probably some weird stuff along the way. So be sure to watch weekly for these things. It's been great to see you this week. I hope you have a wonderful new week ahead,